After the stock market crashed in 1930, the United States plummeted headfirst into the Great Depression. Many people were starving and had their homes foreclosed. Women were granted few rights compared to those granted to men. They couldn't have the jobs that they were able to now, like teaching, directing movies, and they couldn't go to special schools to learn how to pilot planes. Even though they had the right to vote in 1930, most women were restricted to being housewives and taking care of children. The term tomboy was a distasteful title for any woman to hold, but one particular tomboy was about to change everything by being the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. This was also the first woman to attempt to make a flight around the entire world, and her name was Amelia Earhart. Amelia Mary Earhart was born to Samuel Earhart and Amelia Otis Earhart in Austin, Kansas on July 24, 1897. Even though Amelia had a proper upbringing, she was classified as a tomboy for her independent and adventurous nature. She would climb trees, belly slam her sled to get it started in the winter, and she could shoot rats with a .22 rifle. When Amelia Earhart was 10 years old, she saw her first plane at a state fair. Thoroughly unimpressed, she was quoted saying, "It was a thing of rusty wire and wood, and it looked not at all interesting." Amelia and her sister Grace were homeschooled by their mother and their governess. When Amelia was 12 years old, in 1909, she applied and was later accepted into Hyde Park High School. After graduation on December 28, 1920, a pilot named Frank Hawks offered to give Amelia a ride in his plane that would change Amelia's entire perspective on aviation. Afterwards, she said, "By the time I'd gotten 200 or 300 feet off the ground, I knew I had to fly." After graduating from college as a social worker, Amelia had her first flying lesson on the 3rd of January in 1921. Just a mere 6 months after Amelia had saved enough money to purchase her own 2-seater plane, she named the plane Canary because of its yellow color. With that plane, she set the first woman's record of rising to an altitude of 1,400 feet above the ground. By the year 1928, Amelia's life revolved around flying and being an activist for women's rights. One afternoon that April, Amelia received a phone call from a man who asked her, "How would you like to be the first woman to fly across the Atlantic?" At this, Amelia promptly and enthusiastically answered, "Yes!" After an interview in New York, Amelia met her co-pilots, Wilmer Slutz and Lewis Gordon. They left Trespicy Harbor in Newfoundland in an F-7 plane named Friendship. The crew was welcomed about 21 hours later by camera flashes and heroic headlines when they arrived in Bury Port, Wales. Afterward, as fate would have it, Amelia's life also began to include George Putnam, and the couple was married on the 7th of February in the year 1932. Still keen in her tomboyish manner, she referred to the marriage as dual control. But even after her feat of flying across the Atlantic, Amelia was not yet content with her accomplishments. She wanted to become the second person after Charles Lindbergh to fly solo across the Atlantic and the first woman to do so as well. She and George began to work secretly on plans for her flight. Exactly 5 years to the day after Charles Lindbergh flew solo across the Atlantic, Amelia took off for Europe in terrible conditions of strong winds, icy rain, and even hail. She was forced to make a pit stop on a farmer's island near Londonderry, Ireland, but the flight was successful all the same. When she came back home, Amelia was greeted by President Hoover and was presented with a gold medal from the National Geographic Society. Amelia was also awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. She happened to be the first woman ever to receive this award. Amelia was praised numerous times for her feat of flying across the Atlantic. She felt that the flight proved that men and women were equal in value and that the flight proved that they were equal in potential for jobs requiring intelligence, coordination, speed, coolness, and willpower. Amelia continued her flying career and worked as a women's rights activist in her spare time. She continued to break records set by men and other women who began to fly as well. But as Amelia neared her 40th birthday, she dared to take on the final challenge. She wanted to be the first woman to fly the 2,900-mile journey across the world. With her navigator Fred Noonan, they departed from Miami, Florida, and began their journey. Tragically, they did not finish their flight because static radio transmissions prevented communication between Amelia's plane and the ITSCA ship, following them for emergency rescue in the event of a crash. However, crash they did. An attempt rescue was commenced, but neither bodies nor plane were found. It is no small feat to fly across the Atlantic Ocean and almost to fly across the world. For her determination and accomplishments, both for flight and womankind, the world will always remember Amelia Mary Earhart. Her birthplace, Austin, Kansas, has become a shrine to her. Amelia Earhart scholarships are given out every year, but even in the face of danger, a letter to her husband in case of flight being her last, Amelia's spirit had remained strong. She said, "I want to do it because I want to do it. Women must try to do things as men have tried, and when they fail, their failure must be but a challenge to others."